So a little bit about Logic Earth. Logic Earth, we have been around since 2010. We serve a global client base, working with organisations like BNY Mellon, Allianz Global Investors, MasterCard, and so on. And what we really like to do is work with like-minded organisations who are as passionate about really good workplace learning as we are. We have offices in the island of Ireland and in the UK. And what we specialise in is the design and development of high-impact, low-cost per head digital learning solutions. But most of all, our mantra is about making the digital learning revolution work for you. In so many areas of business, they benefit from this digital transformation, but workplace learning sadly still lags behind. And when you think of kind of traditional e-learning, it sometimes can fill people with dread, and people don't necessarily want to take traditional e-learning. So what we try and do is make e-learning much more engaging, make much more of a bigger impact in your business, and make all of that process of developing and creating content much easier. So what is the need for the likes of Percipio? Percipio is designed to meet the modern user. Business has changed. How we work in the workplace has changed. We have less time. We're much more impatient. We have much more work to do on a day-to-day basis. We're time poor, and we're very mobile. So we need a learning solution that kind of matches all those characteristics. We need learning when we need it. Knowledge doesn't kind of reside in individuals anymore. It resides in collections of teams and people. So we need to be working together to get this information. And simply, we just work differently than we did 10, 20 years ago. So our workplace learning has to reflect that. And what's happening really is that learning is replacing knowing. So it's not necessarily about the technical skill set you have to do your job. It's about your ability to learn and adapt in a flexible way. Because what we're seeing here is that, traditionally, once you learned, what you needed to learn for a profession, that did you for a lifetime. Now the knowledge half-life is 2.5 to 5 years. But really what's happening in the workplace is that we're not giving our staff much time to learn. And people are actually going out there and buying their own learning because they know that this learning is so important. And we also know from research that staff use search engines to actually answer on-the-job questions, but actually this can be quite inefficient because they're searching and maybe not finding what they need. So we know the appetite for learning is there, but we kind of know that they're not necessarily being served in the right way. And as I said at the beginning, much of what we do in the workplace has changed, since from the 20th century to the 21st century. In the 20th century, it was all about structure and order, a job for life, time management, whereas the 21st century is all about time juggling, and it's all about flexible roles and flexible skill sets. We need learning solutions that are going to facilitate that 21st century working. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over to Tiernan, who's going to demonstrate Percipio and how it actually ticks the boxes and solves a lot of these challenges.
Well, good afternoon. You're very welcome. I'm very excited to be joining Fiona today in the Logic Earth team to present to you Percipio, which is our new modern learner experience from Skillsoft. Percipio, in case you're wondering, by the way, is the Latin for to acquire knowledge, very much in terms of helping modern learners to acquire knowledge. We're all overwhelmed these days under time pressure, as Fiona was saying. I think the average employee these days has around 23 to 24 minutes per week by which they can actually spend, if they're lucky to spend, on any kind of professional or personal development. So we have developed Percipio in an agile environment over the last 18 months at Skillsoft to address the needs of the modern learner, to ensure that people can access the information at a time and pace that suits them. You can pick it up on your tablet, on your smartphone, on your PC. You can continue to use those particular devices and, start on one, continue on the other. It's all designed to be used very, very simply by the modern learner. So without further ado, I've got a few slides just to kind of gently ease us in this afternoon, and then we'll have a good look at Percipio itself and, again, the key features that it offers staff today. I thought I'd start with a very useful quote from Josh Bersin in terms of saying that digital learning does not mean learning on your phone. It means bringing learning to where the employees are, or indeed where they need it. It is a way of learning and not a type of learning. And we've taken that on board very much in terms of our design and delivery of Percipio to be this quick, intuitive content discovery platform. We're looking to inspire people to make learning a habit, something that you do on a recurring basis, not just to complete some compliance training or information that you have to pick up, but to grow professionally and personally, as Fiona was saying, to move out of the siloed approach, to start to collaborate and share more with your colleagues, and in those precious minutes that you have every week, to be able to find information at that point of time, just in time, just for me or just for you, through using this very, very simple, very elegant and beautiful platform that we put together to curate the many thousands of different assets that we have in terms of online courses, books, audiobooks, and of course videos themselves. Engagement is of course the key. We're very much aware of this in terms of unless we have engaged learners, they won't come back and they won't reuse the particular platform itself. We want them to start on a particular continuous learning journey and to continue using the materials that they have access to embed it into their workflow. And without, again, the engagement factor, such you're at basically a loss in terms of driving people towards these technology-enabled learning platforms. You might think, for example, about just maybe providing video-based content, which is very much at the fore today in terms of preferential ways for people to pick up information. But actually, when we surveyed our particular global clients, we were surprised to see that, of course, books, online books, and also audiobooks, of which we have twice as many as our nearest competitor, that format is also very, very important, with over 80% of learners today quoting book materials being used. I think for our own particular studies at Skillsoft, the most popular time of the week that our global clients use our online books and online or our audio books would actually be at the weekend on a Saturday versus during the week. Do you also think about perhaps providing people with access to more content? Surely more is better. The more content you have, the more engaged your learners will be. Not necessarily so. People are overwhelmed. You want to ensure that you curate and present the content as logically as we can. I think that on an average second as such, there are over 2,500 Skype calls that take place globally, 7,500 tweets, 60,000 Google searches, maybe over 69,000 videos shown on YouTube every second of the day. We don't want to overwhelm the learners. Give them the choice. They want to be able to personalize their experience, like you would do with a Sky subscription where you can choose particular channels. We've built in the channel approach to curating our many thousands of assets to make it simple and easy to find that particular modality that best suits your individual learning style, whether you want to watch a video, whether you want to read or indeed listen to an online book, or perhaps engage in an online course. That's again your choice as to how and where you decide to do that. Do you maybe stay with your existing systems that you have in place for, again, hoping to get learner engagement? Or do you look to change things around to up the game and provide them with this much more engaging user and learner experience? I read recently that in a recent Deloitte Global Human Capital Trends report from earlier this year, overall learning and development departments received a very bad, a -8 net promoter score, which is very poor. So it brings us back to the whole question is, well, what do you do to engage the learners to ensure that they're developing professionally and personally at a time and pace that suits them to do so? So in terms of learning in Percipio, and we'll show the platform now in a few moments, but just to give you some figures around the wealth and depth of content that we have, it's more so about, again, allowing people to access this as quickly as possible, to give them the choice as to how they browse and peruse the content. By curating these channels, of which we have over 450 channels, broken down again logically by subject and topic area, we've taken these channels, which we're constantly adding to, based on over 50,000 competency mappings that Skillsoft do for our global clients. What are our customers out there in the real world asking for? Is it finance related? Is it Six Sigma? Is it project management, leadership? What are the core topic areas, and how do we therefore present the great depth and wealth of content from Skillsoft through, again, a simple to use learner experience? As we said, it's all about, again, providing them with also the choice as to how and where they consume that learning, whether it's going to be on initially their laptop or PC, moving to a tablet perhaps in the evening when you're on Wi-Fi, maybe on indeed a smartphone device as such when you're out and about. That's where Percipio as such will really come into its own itself. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the platform itself. I'll just minimize my PowerPoint slides for a moment, and we'll jump straight into the landing page, the home page for Percipio, which we are right now. Front and center, we're going to see, of course, the questions saying, what would you like to learn today? And we can use search, which we'll do in a moment, to browse, again, the extensive catalog and get choices back as to how you wish to consume that particular topic or area of interest. We can see from the middle of the screen here the resume learning. On a single click, I can resume into any particular item, whether it's going to be an audio book on the purple cow, all about being different, standing out from the crowd. You're either a standard cow or you're a purple cow. And if you're a purple cow, you're different from your competition. We have a book, Windows 10 for Dummies. I'm learning my way through this for one of our home computers here in the house at the moment. Perhaps it's going to be a course, jump straight back into Expert Insights on Leadership Foundations. I can simply scroll through the remainder of my, again, resume learning options to, again, jump straight back into what I've been using, perhaps on my tablet, on my smartphone, or indeed on my PC previously. Just to the right of that, I have, of course, my assignments. Now, this is, again, where you can think about curating the content and carving it up and assigning it to particular cohorts or audiences that you may have across your respective businesses. You can give people a number of items to complete. It could be a single item, a course, it could be a book to read through, or maybe a video to watch, but you can choose, again, what assignments you make on an audience or indeed a group-by-group basis. If I just scroll gently down on the page, we can have, of course, my favorites or my playlist, where again you can choose as you're browsing the site and accessing the content to add any particular item, whether it's going to be at a channel level, for example, for PMP certification preparation, or indeed an individual asset level, in terms of, as we can see here, a course, a book, or an audio book. You can throw these into, save these in your playlist, and we'll also start to see, of course, the option to like something. As you like something, it will go as recommended. If you're using this on your corporate site for your respective organizations, the more likes a particular asset get, the more it bubbles up to the top of the search results for other employees within the organization. So ranked by popularity. We're going to see in early 2018 and some futures, and I'll share some roadmaps and directions with you shortly on Percipio, the options to share directly, send someone a link to this particular resource, and therefore learners can collaborate. If you are on the same team as somebody, be it a virtual team, and you want to share some information, we need to give you the option to send that out to somebody and let them access the same information as well. So your playlist is where you store your own personal favorites, and you can, of course, add and remove items to that as required. One of the recent additions to Percipio only just last month, because we're constantly developing and enhancing the platform, will be the option to express your particular interests. Here I have, for example, leadership essentials. I have methods in terms of project management methods. And if I go down just further, I've got one more here in terms of productivity, which again are my particular interests that I can specify on either my first login, or I can simply click on Edit Interests and update or change those, again, to select perhaps something under Business Operations, in addition to my 3 other, again, subject areas or areas of interest. Within Operations, I can now go in and specify, for example, Finance or Process Improvement, and add those in to my particular, favorites within Percipio. So if I now scroll down the page again slowly, you're going to see those particular areas of interest have been added in to my particular homepage. There's my finance. I can go above that then, of course, to my leadership essentials and so forth. At the bottom of the page is where we have the popular channels. This again is one of our demonstration or evaluation sites. These are just some of the popular channels that have been used by my colleagues across Skillsoft and by some customers who've been reviewing our content from this particular evaluation site. So in your respective organization, your teams are going to see the popular channels as being used by your own particular staff. And it's easy to simply click on a particular channel and jump directly into the resources that are contained within that channel itself. So here, for example, we're going to see on Visual Studio, we can choose within the channel in terms of your level of either technology and also expertise. So you can decide whether it's going to be Visual Studio 2017 or Test Team Foundation Server 2015. The learner themselves can choose the particular level of expertise and navigate down to the individual assets within that particular channel itself. So again, the choice always there to either watch one of our courses, video-based courses, or indeed to read through some content in terms of the online books or indeed the audio books where available. I can return at any point to my home page very simply by clicking on the Percipio logo at the top left of the page. And if I just scroll down again, just gently down to those interest areas again, this is where we differentiate ourselves from the competition. We're the only organization that offers truly the watch, read, listen mantra in terms of having the options here under those particular little click buttons to choose. I want to put in place, first of all, my preference towards watching or watching one of the online videos from the courses. Put those particular items first under my area of interest being finance. Or switch over to maybe say an online book in reading or indeed listening to some of those great audio books that are available again for you to use when you're perhaps traveling or out and about. Let's go into one of those particular resources. I'll go into one of these courses right now in my Resume Learning from a single click and show how again the courses are curated into a number of video particular sections themselves. This is my overview, Expert Insights on Leadership Foundations. I get the information in relation to the course itself. The content, as we can see here, is broken down into a number of distinct videos. Each of these is a matter of minutes to review and complete. Leadership is a marathon was where I was in beforehand. I can simply resume by clicking on the play button to go back to the actual second that I was in watching that video previously. Now, I'm not sure if the sound is coming through. I'll just mute the sound so I can still continue to talk to you without having the sound come through on my headphones today. But your standard course navigation buttons allow you to, of course, to scrub through the video if need be, rewind back 10 seconds, change your particular display rate perhaps to HD if your bandwidth affords that, turn on, as I have done here, closed captions so I can talk while the video is playing back as well. Or you can choose also to, again, to have the autoplay option to move yourself through each of those videos in sequence to get from start to finish in the course if you wish. You can even choose, as a learner may do, to either as such to speed things up or slow things down slightly in terms of your playback speed. And a great option, of course, to give you a better viewing experience would be, of course, to go full screen and, again, allow that to happen on either your tablet device or indeed your smartphone or your PC. Now you can add in any particular item to your playlist as a favorite by simply clicking on the star, or remove it from the playlist as required. We can also choose to start to like these items as we're finding them, and again, they're being of use to us in our particularly daily routine itself. So you've got full navigational control as you would expect to jump into, let's say, the next video on how to inspire trust. We'll start to play that back, and this point now is where we will be returned to as such once we again use that Resume Learning again at a future date and time itself. Our completion status will change as you move through the course. Where we have content with post-assessment tests, you'll be required to take a particular test at the end to prove course mastery, and that will go against your course completion stats through your own individual reporting on Percipio as well. So that's the Resume Learning section. Very simply, single click, return into any particular item. Just to show how the books and the audio books view on the screen. We have our particular book viewer now up on the page. We can jump to any particular chapter or section within the actual book itself with a single click. You may choose again to change it to full screen mode to give you a better viewing preference, or indeed move the table of contents away and then simply then just scroll through the actual online book as you would do. You might choose to even as such change the size of the text to be larger or smaller, again to suit your individual viewing preferences. It's a very simple way to navigate the content, and again it will bring you back on an automatic bookmark directly into where you were previously. In terms of audiobooks, we spent a lot of time over the last few years cataloging our audiobook collections, so it allows the learners themselves again to jump to a particular section within this particular audiobook. If I just jump back into it now. Here we go, on the Purple Cow. And again, we can choose to jump into a particular case study or section within this audio book itself. The duration for this particular audio title will be around about just under 3 hours. And again, it's broken down into little sections that you can, again, consume, listen to as such when you're traveling, when you're out and about. It's a great way, again, to learn as such rather than to read up on your screen. I believe by 2020, 30% of all browsing sessions will actually be conducted without a screen through the use of Google Assistant as such, or Apple Siri, or indeed the Amazon Echo or Alexa as particular devices that people are now expecting to use. So we've seen the resume learning. We've seen how we can add in items to our particular playlist. The learner can also choose to view all in any case, whether it's going to be their resume learning list or indeed their particular playlists, and jump into any item that they may have used previously. For example, I can go into a particular channel on PMP, which is designed to give the learners, again, an understanding of what's expected of them prior to taking the live exam, whereby, of course, we can now, of course, choose to give people the options to either, again, watch a particular course, and we can see they get the detail broken down by number of videos contained in this course and the total duration. They can take a test, if need be, to assess themselves as they continue or as they progress through the training themselves. They can also choose to show details very, very simply, and again, get up the list of those particular videos and choose to simply jump into any particular section that they wish with a single click of the mouse. Likewise, as you're navigating through the watch, read, or where available the listen, again, the online books, in this case for the PMP exam prep, are also available for folks to use to get themselves up to that particular exam standard. Now, in terms of browsing and using the general search, which of course is Elasticsearch, the same used by Google, Amazon, and Facebook, we could type in here, for example, I like to look for words something like reverse mentoring, which sounds extreme, but it's a very useful means of ways of sharing information across the generations within organizations. We get Elasticsearch results recommending content, where again we can see individual assets. We can change and filter these by perhaps looking at a particular video by Tom on reverse mentoring, or choose again to filter by again watching, reading, or indeed listening to, again, information that best fits with our particular training requirement. Again, toggle back to the home page, clicking on the Percipio link. We can also now, of course, use the library option at the top of the screen to allow us to browse by, again, for example, application skills. We can go into browsers and operating systems, maybe Microsoft Office. We can all do with better Excel skills these days to become Excel gymnasts as such. And this is where we start to see, again, the breakdown in the catalog into these respective channels. Here we have, for example, the Excel channel, which again we can click on, and allow the learners to navigate down to those individual assets that are going to best meet with their particular training requirements. This is where, again, we can choose the level, the particular technology type, and again, whether you want to look at this from a beginner aspect, intermediate, or indeed expert level, if need be. Again, just return quickly to the home page. And just a reference in terms of the library itself as well, we can also allow the learners to do a general browse using the first option here to allow them to start to look at those various key topic areas within Percipio itself, broken down by applications, development, IT operations, project management. These are the main, as such, sections that we have broken our content down into, and then allow the learners themselves to actually explore each of those particular topic areas in further detail, for example, business execution, and from there then go into those respective channels, such as managing risks, and again jump into the content that best fits with their particular needs. Again, watching, reading, and listening. Always great to have that choice as to how you want to assimilate the information and indeed embed that into your particular workflow itself. Just finally, in terms of library views, let's look at the particular certifications that we align to. These are typically around the likes of IT and project management, but we can see here we have got full coverage against the likes of information security, Cisco, CompTIA, ITIL, Linux, Prince2, project management, TOGAF, and so forth. So again, a great range of certified materials designed to give the learners all they need to know as they, again, continue with their exam preparation before the live test itself. Okay. Let's spend a few moments just looking at, for example, the dashboarding, the administrative side to Percipio from an L&D and from a learning perspective. How do we start to demonstrate the impact and value that the solution will start to have for your respective organizations? Now, I've got the admin view here with these respective options along the top of my page. The regular learners would not see this. If I go into my overview tab, first of all, this is one of our demonstration sites, as I was saying. This allows you to look at your particular business imperatives, your business priorities, where you've made particular strategic assignments of content across your respective cohorts. How are the people doing? Based on the assignments that we have put out there for people to do, it starts to give you some dashboarding information around how people are progressing. Are they completed, not started, or indeed started on their continuous learning journey? And it starts to give you some statistics and percentage completions against those particular important assignments. Just scrolling down, you can see, of course, the overall number of hours on a month-by-month basis that's been used across the organization, and then get into the very, very specific estimated value or estimated program value statistics, and these, of course, will change to be either euro or pound sterling based, depending on your particular region. We've spent many years working with our global client base to help our customers understand, I guess, the data behind the data. What information is important to them to demonstrate the value, to demonstrate the impact that the program are having. Not that people are using it, but they're using it and there's a change in people's behavior, that they're understanding how to become better at what they do. And in doing so, what does that mean back to your respective businesses? We have got some fantastic means and ways of calculating this based on industry averages and expected norms, but we can provide you with further detail if you require around how we calculate the value of the skill gain, the impact to salary hours, the overall total benefit. So based on your investment with Logic Earth or with Skillsoft, what are you getting as a return? Is it going to be a positive, and typically it is a positive result, against your particular pound, euro, or indeed sterling spend with Skillsoft or with Logic Earth? And then against those particular strategic alignments, again, what are people doing? Which of these are the most important to you as a business? And in turn, how do you effectively show and demonstrate the fact that they are working for you? Based on assignments, the aligned learners, the total number of hours that have been used, and again, the very important completions, proving that people have got mastery of the information that they are indeed moving through. The dashboards also continue on to show, again, additional information such as an overall summary in terms of what people have been accessing based on channel access, the courses that they've been using, the videos, the books, and indeed the audio books. So we've got some fantastic reporting available in Percipio to allow you to adequately display and show, yes, it's been used, but exactly by who, by when, what have they done, what have they finished, and how are they doing? What's the uptake? So again, more about that in terms of our follow-up to each of you if need be. Reports, again, we expect to see, of course, learner activity reports, assignment reports, user listings, collections available to people. It's all about giving you the adequate data to prove the investment has been worthwhile and that people are using it for the right reasons and becoming much more effective at what they do themselves. Okay. I'll just break out there for a second and jump straight into, because I can show very, very quickly here on my smartphone today. If technology is being kind to us, I can do a quick little screen mirror on your screens, and hopefully this will start to come through on the left-hand side of your screens. This is my own iPhone today, and in here I have, of course, my Percipio learning app that's being loaded up. And this, again, is just to show that we have, again, the same experience, albeit on a smartphone screen, to allow you to, again, to resume your learning, to go back into what you've done beforehand, to review those popular channels, to even go as far as looking down, of course, into your own particular playlists and what you've been accessing previously. You can filter your results, again, by the watch, the read, and, of course, the listen. We can, of course, also search for topics such as transformational HR and simply tap on and jump directly back into any particular resources that we wish to use. It's a great way, again, to use that information when you're traveling, when you're out and about. Not many people these days are tied to a desk 9 to 5. You have to have the option to allow you to go in and review and pick up where you left off from and indeed access those resources from a single tap on your indeed smartphone itself. There's my playlist I can tap on and it brings up those particular resources. that I've been accessing beforehand. I've just got a note through from Peter saying that he can't hear me. Is my sound still turned off, or am I lost speakers? We can hear you fine. Thanks, Patrick. Fantastic. Great stuff. Okay, let's close down out of the smartphone. I want to just show now, in terms of my next section here, jump back into my PowerPoint slides for a moment. I want to show just a few directions around, again, what we're doing in the background. Percipio is a constantly evolving platform. Just to give you some ideas around our roadmap and direction over the next 6 to 8 months on this. Our leadership resources that we have on Percipio right now, of course, are Watch, Read, and Listen. We'll be adding in early in the new year the options to have those additional tools and resources in terms of PDFs, Word documents, and PowerPoint files to allow the learners to actually pick up and apply their particular information that they've acquired back into their workplace, into their respective teams, to include it, to collaborate, to share, and indeed to, again, to fully make use of the great information available through the platform itself. Customizations are also coming around allowing clients to actually start to customize their logos and colors, as you would expect, to the platform itself. Here, for example, is just a mock-up for Coca-Cola, where, of course, the top and the bottom of the page allows us to put in branding relative to themselves. Of course, you're probably all thinking about these channels that we have, the 450 channels which we're constantly adding to. Yes, we are very much working towards early new year, starting to introduce the options for our clients who can customize their channels, call it something specific to themselves, even go as far as starting to add in their own content, third-party, either SCORM or AICC content into the platform, so it's embedded and sits for a truly blended experience alongside the Skillsoft content as well. In terms of enterprise integration, we have options around other LMSs. Obviously, the first option here being Percipio driven would, of course, be Percipio being at the front, being the main learner engagement experience. Or, of course, working with our global clients who use many different systems these days to integrate Percipio into, for example, other systems such as other LMSs, whereby a search perhaps within the LMS returns a result, and the result would then jump people out to a Percipio site, or perhaps get to the case where actually Percipio is never seen and the LMS takes control, and therefore we're just serving content from one site to another, and therefore the listings of available content is available through, again, the LMS itself. I can also show just one very quick sneak peek here today, because this is brand new as of such just this week now, is we're working on developing a mini app for Percipio. If I go into a Google search here, if I type in here, for example, say an old favorite of mine to search for innovation, for example, think about this in terms of having something that sits within an application. Typically in mature learning organizations today, learning has become very much ubiquitous. It's all about embedding, as we said, people's learning into their natural and daily workflows. We're developing this particular mini app whereby as such we can simply allow learners to start to highlight, for example, a particular piece of text on the screen that they're working in, whether it's going to be in Salesforce, in a Chrome web app as I'm using it here today. A little Percipio icon pops up, and that says you can search Percipio. If I tap on that, I get a little notification down here at the bottom of my screen because I have loaded the mini app to my Chrome browser. If I tap on that at the top right of the page, we've got some search results that have come back from Percipio. And therefore, we can also rank these by, again, videos, channels, books, etc. You can filter by read, watch, or indeed listen. And of course, you can also, before you ask the question, yes, you can play back directly within the mini app that particular video. I know, maybe you're hearing that as well. If I just turn the sound off there for a second, there's the video playing back within the mini app itself. Or, of course, you can choose to go out and jump into View in Percipio and have the full Percipio experience, if you wish to do so, and experience that piece of content directly from your PC or indeed laptop as required. But it's a great way, again, to think about embedding this into not only just web browsers, but typically an application, maybe within your Excel application, where rather than using the standard Microsoft Help, you would have the Percipio mini app that you could obviously refer to. Well, pivot tables, give us something on that. So it's a great way, again, to allow the learners to, again, expose themselves to the learning at any particular point they wish directly from within that particular application itself. So that's the Percipio mini app. It's still in development, but delighted to be able to show you a sneak peek today of what we're doing with that in terms of bringing that to the market, hopefully very, very soon as well.
So Skillsoft on Percipio, obviously it's an awesome tool. I mean, I have never seen anything like Percipio, and I think it's the very first tool of its kind that actually ticks the boxes of the modern learner. You know, it's something we've all been waiting for years. And the first time I saw Percipio, I was kind of thinking, well, why hasn't anyone done that before? And it is that good. Percipio is a tool, and while it has a really, really good user experience, and it's got such a wealth of resources, you know, your 38,000 videos, 3,700 courses, and so on. It needs to work for your particular business, and that's our forte. That's what Logic Earth brings to the party. We have years of insight of implementing and making these solutions work for clients. So for us, it isn't just about selling license, and in fact, that's kind of the smallest thing. We want to make Percipio work for you, and so we have a very kind of structured process. We talk to you. We really get under the hood of your business to make the biggest impact with Percipio. We take into account your unique needs and constraints, but most of all, we will negotiate with our partner Skillsoft on your behalf. We'll get that sweet spot deal for you to suit your budget and your staff and your ambitions for your organisation. And not only that, we will guide you through the support, the setup, and to drive the usage in this system. You know, we'll work with your internal L&D teams, your internal comms teams. We'll help you identify champions to get people talking about this. And one of the jokes we've had internally here in Logic Earth is that instead of, you know, people coming into work and talking about, you know, the latest Netflix movie, what they will be doing with Percipio is talking about the latest 5-minute video they've viewed on their app. And we believe Percipio is that good. So we also have a structured process for working with your teams. If you think about, you know, the general training requirements of most organizations are quite similar at an organizational level. You know, we've got things like compliance training, we've got onboarding, you know, the stuff that everyone needs to do, and we can set up channels to suit you so that when any new employee goes in, they go straight to the content that they need. We also can kind of get your teams, your managers, and those teams working together through assignments, through shared playlists. You know, imagine a high performer, someone who's really good at project management, has set up a playlist of all the good resources that they have used to learn, and then sharing that throughout the organization. And that's what makes this a really, really powerful tool. It's not about, you know, everyone taking this dreadful content. It's about everyone sharing really good content in a structured and an efficient way to suit the needs of your business. So, you know, we help you, we look at these strategic challenges, we get the best deal for you, and that's really what we're all about. So, Kieran, are you still there?
I'm still here, Fiona, yeah.
Okay, so we've got a question. If users can't see dashboards in Percipio, how can they monitor their own progress? That's a good question.
A good question. Apologies, I didn't show that. The learners themselves, of course, have access to their own reporting information, and only their own reporting information in the system itself. That's where they can see their own completions, their own progresses. That's available to all learners as default. It's under the My Profile option at the top right of the page, which I didn't show. My apologies.